I am really sick of Candace Owens at this point, just continuously hating on the Jewish people, even if she won't say it out directly, but at this point she kind of will. I mean, if you go through her YouTube, just scroll through the last few days of her YouTube, and all of them are just hating at Israel. And she'll say there's a difference, but there isn't, because the Jewish people are directly connected and affiliated with Israel and have been for thousands of years. All of our prayers talk about Jerusalem. All of our Bible talks about Jerusalem and Israel and coming home. It is a land that we are historically connected to. And she wants to have you believe that, just in 1948, the Israelis came to be. Rubbish. It's not true. It's the Jewish homeland. It always has been. And we are more than a religion. We are something really integral. We are a family, okay? It's in our bloodline. And this is the home that we grew up in, that we have been exiled from a million times. But you know what? That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to say I'm really sick of Candace Owens assuming that everybody is so gullible and just spewing nonsense and hatred and lies consistently against Israel. But I'm more frustrated at you that you listen to this and you believe this. I've been speaking to so many people lately on the right who are starting to waver a little bit on their Zionism because of this intense hatred that some very niche and individual people on the right have been propagating to media. And why do I say very niche? Well, because if you look at what's going on with the Republican Party, it is still majorly on the side of the Jewish people. It is still against anti-Semitism, even though, ironically, originally the Republicans were much more anti-Semitic than the Democrats. But that's a story for a different time. We've got most of the Republicans understand the importance of us fighting Iran, fighting for Israel, for the survival of Israel, the importance of that, not just on a Jewish level and on a moral level, but on a Christian level, on an evangelical level. There are so many people who really do understand right from wrong, but there are a lot of loud people, and these people are like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson's, and that's why people like us who are open to coming out and talking and speaking up against these voices, even if we're smaller than them, is so important, because this is how they gain publicity. The more they just talk extreme things, okay, coming up with unbelievable conspiracy theories and pushing them to no end because they're so dramatic. Honestly, these people are our new day reality TV show. It is so much more interesting to watch Candace Owens go off on one than it is to watch these shows that have gotten really boring, like Love Island. They've just kind of died out. These reality TV shows where you see people pitting against each other, they're just not nearly as interesting as this real life reality TV. And that's what these people capitalize on. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, they capitalize on finding, in the name of true journalism, in the name of unbiased media, in the name of being the voice of the people, because they are not the voice of the people. This is another tactic that she uses continuously. She is not a voice of the people. She'll say things like, the blue-collared people, they just want, insinuating that she understands when she is, just from a quick Google search, a millionaire. Probably a multi-millionaire. She probably owns lots of real estate, not just one piece of real estate. She is very wealthy, and she is one of the elite of America. And she could pretend that she speaks on behalf of the people that aren't. But she's just a mom podcasting from her basement. She is not just a mom podcasting from her basement. And I'll say this once and I'll say this again. She is a very important and prominent voice with a lot of reach and power. It is not every day that Trump calls individuals in the country. And she is one of those people that he does call. She is important and she is part of the elite. And her trying to downplay that is honestly embarrassing on all of us. But that's something that we all have to remember. Don't let her get away with this. Call it out. Call it out however you want. If it's to start a video series, if it's to react in comments, if it's to post about it, don't be afraid to stand up against lies, because that's what she does. Okay, for example, let's take the Bridget Macron case, which I don't know at this point what the heck is going on. And I have to say, it's an interesting story. But if you watch her series, you are convinced beyond belief, absolutely convinced. And yet there have been these videos coming up from here and from there, like the Free Press, who she's gone after, and Stephen Crowder, and these different individuals who've come up being like, guys, it doesn't really add up. And that's the amazing thing about what Candace manages to do. She manages to take you from A to Z without you actually checking if she's done all the steps correctly, because she just makes it sound so clear. So for example, she was doing this interview with this guy called Milo, who randomly, also, whilst they're in the middle of this interview, he's very right-wing and he's obviously anti-Semitic, and he kind of publicly announces that during the interview. They're talking and she goes, this is and it must be Israel's fault. And he goes, oh, that's a quick, drastic jump. And she does it. And then she keeps on going that it's Israel, 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 Israel. And they're talking about Trump's funeral. And they don't mention any of the amazing things that Trump has managed to do. They just mention the small things that could be potentially Israel are involved with, and we have no way of proving it. And she manages directly to correlate everything to Israel negatively without providing the actual evidence. Another thing that she does during this Bridget thing, which is just absolutely nuts. Wait, before we talk about that, let's jump back. This Milo guy, by the way, they talk about how Jews are involved in a pedophilia ring. If you Google him, one of the first things that comes up is like a conversation about the fact that he also had some kind of weird pedophilic background. She doesn't question him on that, which is what any journalist with any sort of integrity was sitting down with somebody and they're talking about pedophilia, and this guy was sometime involved in something to do with it. And I don't know the exact facts because I don't trust Wikipedia, but there was some kind of scandal. That would be the first thing that a journalist with integrity would do. They would question that, but she doesn't. She just jumps directly to taking these crazy conspiracy theories and sticking them onto Israel. Another example, okay? Bridget Macron. This whole crazy thing. Is she a man? Is she a woman? Look, if you watch her series, you are going to be convinced. She is very, 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 very convincing. And yet, I noticed this amazing thing that she presented this picture of the boy who she says is actually Brigitte, the brother. And it looks just like Brigitte. And I'm like, whoa. And there's a picture and she like circles in on that picture. I'm like, wow, it must be. And then I took a look at the faces of the other characters, the one who was Brigitte, and they all have the same face. Every single one of them could be Brigitte now. That's important. When you're indicating that somebody might be somebody else because you're looking at a picture and insinuating you're this person, but you're intentionally taking everybody's focus away from all the other pictures that could be her, that's nuts. But that's exactly what she does continuously. She comes after certain facts and she associates them. Jeffrey Epstein, the Mossad, okay? We don't know what is going on with Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody really understands what's happening right now. It is all very confusing. And I genuinely have no way of knowing if he's the Mossad or if he's nothing to do with Israel, what is going on. And she's got these claims that, he was funded by these billionaires, these Jewish billionaires and blah, blah, blah. And he's just a puppet and all the politicians are puppets, which is what people really want to believe in their hearts of hearts because it's just such an interesting conspiracy theory that, the president of France isn't really him. He's being funded. He's just an actor. Same with Zelensky. They're just actors. And the Jewish people, they're the ones funding these actors. They're the ones with the puppets, right? She manages to insinuate and direct towards that, but she doesn't actually provide proof. Now, what's interesting about the Mossad argument is that there is no way to dispel it. Nobody out there, besides Naftali Bennett, who got online as the ex-prime minister of Israel saying, hey, I was the prime minister and I know what's going on and there is no intelligence to prove this. He was not Mossad. I can say that for a fact. Now, if you trust Naftali Bennett or not is a different question, but the ex-prime minister of Israel comes out being probably one of the only people in the world who can dispel such a thing and everyone's like, nah. It must be Jeffrey Epstein. He must be involved in Mossad. This is an interesting argument against the Jewish people because it's an argument that people can't dispel. The same way that you can't prove it yes, you can't prove it no. And so you throw this out into the universe and everybody's like, oh, it must be the Mossad. But there is zero proof. It's just a theory which comes from somebody who has so many anti-Jewish theories. And why am I saying all this? Well, because I want to remind you that being critical and having critical thinking nowadays is more important than ever. The ability for you to look at the information and to say, wait a second, let me think for myself. Because Candace depends on idiot, gullible people who are interested in just being entertained and not in the actual truth. And she lies to them. Why hasn't she reviewed the 200 pages, of the document that Emmanuel Macron is suing her with, right? There's 200 pages to this indictment or whatever it's called. I don't know the legal jargon. And she could go through every line and try and discredit it, but she hasn't touched it. She just comes out saying, oh, he's hired an investigator against me. She comes out with all of these things which are dramatic and make the other side sound really bad. And she's a masterful at that. But again, she isn't the norm. She isn't the regular people. And the truth is the Republican Party is actually very supportive of Israel. The people in government are very supportive of Israel. Is the PR getting worse and worse and worse? Yes. And that's intentional because Hamas out there understand that they have no way to beat us except for doing this stuff. And then there are idiots like Candace Owens who actually pull up on this and start doing Hamas's work. She says she's pro-kids. She says she's anti-terror. Well, she's directly eating into those people's hands. And right now, as the Jewish people, it can feel really overwhelming because we're being attacked from the left, being attacked from the right. We're being attacked inside our party, outside our. We're being attacked from every direction. But I just want to remind you again that we are the Jewish people. We are eternal. We are going nowhere, and we are going to be okay as long as each and every one of us does our job. And our job now is to stand up for the truth, to stand up for morality, and to not allow people to get away with this. Even if it's Candace Owens, I have no doubt and I have no fear that one day me and Candace are going to interact with each other. And how do I know this? Because she should be called out by everybody, and there aren't enough people doing it. And enough people coming after her and calling out for her lies, they're going to start to bother her. It's going to bother her that there are these videos online, and she's going to one day say things like, Meira, she's smaller than me. It will bother her that there are people out there who can call her out for her BS with actual truth. Saying things like, hey, Candace, you aren't a poor woman living in an apartment, a blue-collared worker. That's not your case. And Candace, you can't just insinuate lies like this and like this and like this and associate them with certain things that there is no way for anyone to dispel proof and use it as if you're presenting it with journalistic integrity, because you have no integrity. People like that can't handle even the smallest people proving how wrong they are to the world. And so I'm willing to bet that one day, these kind of videos are going to bother her. And if it's not me, it's going to be you. It's going to be somebody out there who is willing to call her out for her BS. And that is exactly what it is. She is a niche voice. And yes, she has millions of views, but there are hundreds of millions of people in the world. And they're not all watching her. They're not all listening to her. And that is the good news. But if you're somebody who has been listening to her and has been somewhat thinking that maybe there's truth, I'm here to remind you that the truth is with Israel. This is all Hamas propaganda at play, coming at you from every direction, bringing up an age-old hatred of the Jewish people, which just means that we are as true and as real as ever. And that, my friends, is what you need to keep thinking about to keep you going.